In this meditation, I focus on simply letting go of the trying and hanging on. We're sometimes not even aware we're doing. I've included after this meditation 2 prayers. One is a general prayer in which we surrender that aspect of self that forgets its true nature and becomes frightened to the presence that is larger than ourselves and is at the same time our true nature. The other is a prayer surrendering a specific aspect of self, using mind-drivenness as an example that we have found we cannot control with our will alone. Obviously, the particulars of this latter prayer and the language by which you name that, which is larger than yourself, can be adapted to your own needs and preferences. Sit or lie in a comfortable position, closing your eyes if you are comfortable with that. Take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Letting your shoulders drop on the exhale, breathe into any places in your body that need attention. Letting any tiredness or tension leave with the exhale. Bring your attention to your breath and take a few minutes to simply focus on the exhale and inhale. Be aware of the sounds or scents around you, bringing your attention back to the inhale and exhale of each breath. Notice the rising and falling of your body. If the thoughts come, just notice them and let them drift away with the exhale like clouds crossing the sky. Focus for a moment on your body, on any places in your body where you are holding on. Let go. Send your breath into any places where there is tension. And on the exhale, let your body soften. Do this repeatedly with each exhale, feeling yourself more and more supported by the surface under you and the earth beneath this surface. From this place of relaxation, softly repeat and complete the statements. I surrender, I let go of, and I quit trying. Letting the completions come without judgment or censorship. Notice without judgment how you feel as you complete the statements. How does your body respond? Just stay with any feelings or sensations that come to you as you repeat the statements, noticing what happens within yourself. If tension arises, take a few moments to breathe once again into any places where you're holding on in your body, releasing the tension with the exhale. Allow yourself time to stay with each statement, waiting for the completion to arise from a deeper place within yourself. Great mystery. Hear my prayer. I surrender my will, my actions, and my thoughts this day to my own compassionate nature, to that aspect of self that does not forget that it is you I embody in my essence. Guide me in this, that I may feel your presence and remember who I am, that I may serve that to which I belong, the sacred mystery that is life. Sacred mystery, see this one, Orion Mountain Dreamer. I hand over to you that aspect of self that is driven, that pushes to do more than my body can sustain. Hold this aspect of me, hold my fear with compassion that I may remember all that I am and know it is enough. 7. Dancing together. And after we have shown each other how we have set and kept the clear, healthy boundaries that help us live side by side with each other, let us risk remembering that we never stopped silently loving those we once loved out loud. We think we chose who we love, but I think we simply do the best we can to be with each other where love, the mystery that sustains us, claims us. A life where there is love is often messy. Life without love is neater, but neatness is really preferable only in bathrooms and written reports. Dancing alone is often easier and certainly less complicated than dancing with someone else. But there is nothing quite so satisfying as creating even one moment of real beauty moving gracefully with another. Perhaps to find this beauty, more often these moments of moving in exquisite alignment with each other and with the music that guides us, we need to let go of our ideas of what the dance should look like and let the messiness of love guide us. My ex-husband Des, the father of my 2 sons, Brendan and Nathan, is getting married today. We've been apart for 13 years. I live in a townhouse, number 16. Des lives in number 2 at the other end of the courtyard. While the proximity is not entirely comfortable for either of us, This arrangement has made it easier for our sons to go back and forth between the two households. This is a dance of separated co-parents, of two people who are at times painfully aware of the ongoing connection they will always have through the children they love, even though they have ceased to be friends or lovers or mates. We are cautiously courteous with each other and have had remarkably little conflict when working out schedules, although both of us, contrary to all we intend and believe to be wise, occasionally grumble to our sons and friends about insignificant and probably imagined slights perpetrated by the other. Previously mutual friends see only one of us, custody having been determined at this time of separation, our sons having no such option, justifiably tell us both that they do not want to hear our complaints. Brendan and Nathan, now 19 and 16, are clearly excited about the wedding. They come over to my place to show me their new suits. Shoulder-shrugging boys are transformed into handsome, responsible young men by dark blue wool, starched white collars, and crimson neckties. Nathan asked me to help him practice his duties as usher for the ceremony. I instruct him to step forward and introduce him with a simple, "Hi, I'm Nathan, Does son," and hold out his arm asking, "May I show you to your seat?" In his nervousness, he cannot get it right. I'm Nathan's son, he stumbles, jutting his arm out in front of me as if he is directing traffic, or holding back an angry mob at a demonstration. His older brother's burst of laughter does not help. My eyes widen in pain. "What am I going to do?" he wails. "Help me, Mom." "Just relax," I say, trying to sound calm and supportive while biting my bottom lip to stop from laughing. "You're a host. All you have to do is focus on the people coming in, on putting them at ease." "But what if a woman doesn't take my arm? I don't know what to do," or gets mad. "Just push her up against the wall and tell her, 'Hey, baby, take this arm or no seat for you,'" his brother suggests helpfully. I give Brendan a warning look even as I laugh. "Nathan, don't worry. If a woman ignores your arm and marches through, just let her go or walk alongside. You don't have to give her a nosebleed with your elbow. Just grab her and pull her down the aisle whether she wants to go or not," Brendan quips. I know the part where Nathan's fear comes from. He's heard me tell the story of a wedding I attended years ago where another young man was nervously offering his arm to a woman entering the church, his face flushed with tension, his voice skidding between octaves and creaking uncontrollably. Two women I knew, both in their late 30s, were ahead of my partner and me. The young man, clearly uncomfortable but determined to do the job he had been given, stepped forward and extended his elbow slightly, asked, "May I show you to your seat?" The woman closest to him turned and glared. "I think I can manage to walk down the aisle without your help," she announced in a booming voice. "Women are not cripples, you know." People already seated turned in their pews to see what the commotion was about, when a young man turned a darker and possible shade of scarlet and looked about desperately, clearly unaware of how he had offended. I moved up quickly beside him and slipped my hand into the crook of his elbow. His arm, thin beneath the grown-up jacket, trembled slightly. "I'll be happy to have you to show me to my seat," I said, smiling at him reassuringly. Confused but clearly relieved at having something to do, he escorted me down the aisle. Later, I spoke privately with the woman. "I don't understand what you were doing," I told her. "Did you really think you were striking a blow for a woman by humiliating that young man publicly for doing what he had been told, for trying to be courteous to you? Did you really think he was suggesting that you looked too fragile to make it to your seat? And what do you think he will remember for this? To honor the feminine or to be wary of the woman who might, without any warning or immediate cause, want to lop off his balls?" She had no response. I could have told her that I too had been afraid of being trapped in confining roles and have my anger struck out at the wrong person, but this was years before I had discovered the breadth and depth of compassion. I thought I had chose sides. I didn't know what compassion could tenderly hold both her anger and fear and the young man's embarrassment. I know Nathan is remembering this story now as he prepares to usher at his father's wedding. He understands about 5,000 years of patriarchy. He knows the misogynist culture and does not want to impede women's struggle for liberation. But mostly, like all 16-year-old boys, like all of us, he just wants to do a good job and avoid public humiliation. So we practice ushering over and over. Later, when he and Brendan come home stumbling in at midnight full of stories and intoxicated by having been so close to the center of attention by their first real imbibing of alcohol, Nathan will tell me the ushering went fine. There was, he will tell me in a tone of shared confidence, as one girl, about 14, who was really nervous. She said to me, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But I just told her, that's okay. I do, I'll show you. And I put her hand in my arm and took her to her seat. He'll be glowing with quiet pride, his confidence in his ability to do what most men want to do, to offer something of value and meaning to the women around them, having grown this evening. Too late for my marriage with this father, I figured out how important this is to men. It wasn't that I didn't appreciate their father's caring when it was there, but my dog, one could say, doctrinaire independence left little room for him to feel there was anything of real value he could offer to me that would be fully received. Brennan prepares for the wedding in a different way, being the official best man, a fact that he cannot resist mentioning repeatedly with emphasis to his younger brother. He has decided 2 hours before the ceremony that he wants to offer a toast at the reception. Help me, he says, as I am repeatedly ushered by Nathan across the living room. I need a poem, something good. You want to read one of my poems at your father's wedding? I asked with feigned innocence. I can't help but take a moment's pleasure from this idea. After all, I knew the groom intimately, and the bride, Bonnie, had been a very close friend of mine when Des and I were married. No, he says, exasperated. Not one of yours. That would be tacky. One by someone else. You know thousands of poems. You must have one. I don't have time to look. I want to recite it, not read it. And I need it fast so I can memorize it. And I only have 2 hours. Showing remarkable restraint, I do not point out that he has had days, if not weeks, to prepare for this. That this is supposed to be my Saturday alone, that I have work, if not a life, to attend to, and that this is at least a little weird for me to be finding a poem for a toast at my ex-husband's wedding. I don't really want to have anything to do with this. It has nothing to do with me, but it is happening in their lives, and so it is happening in mine. Love is what links us to events in the world, no matter how remote they may seem. It can make it difficult to stay clear about where I end and others begin. This is a thin line between life-sustaining interconnectedness and life-draining enmeshment. Okay, I say, let me think, but I don't have to think, nor do I have time. I know the perfect poem for the wedding, the one I would have read at mine if it were today. Only later do I realize that offering it here will make it awkward to use at any possible ceremony of my own. But for now, I'm focused on Brennan's knee. I pull out David Whyte's The True Love from his book of poetry, The House of Belongings. Brendan reads it. This is perfect. Can you write it up on the computer and paste it on cards the way that you do for the poems that you use at workshops? I hesitate, feeling myself being more drawn into this than I want. Please, it will take me forever. So I type, print, cut, paste. Brendan reappears with a sheet of paper in his hand. He has a role in the ceremony, offering some opening prayers. Can you go over my speech and the rest of the stuff I have to say in the ceremony with me? Almost against my will, drawn by a curiosity I suspect of being both morbid and self-abusive, as well as a genuine desire to give Brendan confidence on this day, I start to read the sheets. There are the texts for the whole ceremony. Brendan's prayers, the welcoming of guests, Des and Bonnie's vows. I wince. I know I should not read this, but it's too late now. I cannot stop.
Oh, I don't know why you're chasing all the headlights. Oh, 'cause you're always trying to get ahead.
They have written their own vows. Simple, heartfelt promises to love and support each other through good times and bad, even when they are disappointed in each other. That is the part I'll remember most clearly. The acknowledgement that disappointing each other is unavoidable, and the commitment to love when the inevitable happens. Reading the words, I feel a strange sinking sensation, as if the floor is moving, not dropping away suddenly and leaving me suspended in midair, but slowly sagging and taking it with me. The memory of another wedding 20 years ago flashes through me. No dress, no ring, no customized vows or circle of friends. Des had gone to work that morning, not wanting to lose a day's pay, and I had gone to classes. We had 2 friends present as witnesses there in the city hall. We were young and we'd been living together for 5 years. Marriage in our mind was an archaic institution, and we were going through the motions for the tax man. We didn't think the legalities or the ceremony mattered. What mattered was our relationship and our commitment to each other, and we were right. And we were wrong. Distracted, I turned back to the pages. For the first time, it occurs to me that Bonnie and Des actually love each other and want to make a life together, the way that Des and I did so many years ago. How could I not have known this? They had been together, although not sharing a home, for over 10 years, and they are getting married. A burst of laughter at the magnitude of my own abilities, and my own blindness escapes from my mouth like a gasp, and Brendan looks at me warily, perhaps sensing the weirdness of the situation and wondering if I'm about to flip out and cease to be useful in the process. But there's no time to contemplate the depth and breadth of my denial. I help Brendan reword the prayers he has to say and type up a new version. Then he reads me his speech. He welcomes Bonnie into the family and talks about how he is glad she is marrying his father because he likes her and because her presence helps him to know his father better. Joking about how 3 guys in a household exchange minimal personal information at the end of the day when there's no woman around to encourage expansion upon how was your day. Fine, yours, fine, good. Later that night, sitting on the side of my bed, he would tell me how everyone cried during his speech in recitation of the poem and came up to him later to tell him how beautiful it was. Even people who weren't there told me when they came later that they'd heard I had made a wonderful speech. He would say, glowing. People asked me for copies of it and said it was the high point of the evening. I'll be proud and happy for him, pleased to see how good he feels. He's been feeling lost, as so many of us were at 19, floundering at school, afraid to move in his own life. He hasn't enjoyed many successes lately. As I listen to him now rehearsing his speech, I see the man he is becoming. I give him the asked for pointers on emphasis and wording, and both he and Nathan go to help their dad load the car, but return moments later with anxious pleas for me to teach them to dance. Why is this shutting down?